Hey guys, Chris from Parabolic Signals. Just kind of a video update review, and I want to show you guys something here so that you guys can get some little bit of TA education so that you understand kind of what I look at, so you guys can see what we look for as indicators in the market. And so that maybe it will just help you with your trades, because I know a lot of you guys right now are going to be looking at the market and being like, well, do we break up, do we break down, you know, what's going to happen, right? So we can all profit. Now if you look at this left side here, this is called a V-shaped recovery. Okay, this move right here. If you look at this little move here, this looks like a double top. And I made a TikTok video. Again, this is another V-shaped recovery, and I made a TikTok video. Well, I made quite a few videos because I saw a pattern forming, and I always when I see this pattern forming, I get very worried. And that's because, and of course I've labeled it the King's Crown, and I'm gonna kind of just, I know it's a funny term but the King's Crown always kind of plays out, and I'm gonna tell you why I believe it always plays out in the way that I see my technical analysis. It's not finite, you guys. This is not a definitive way to analyze the market, but I use a lot more indicators than just the pattern forming. I of course monitor my 512 chart, my 128 chart, my 32-minute chart, and it tells me which way the market is going. Now if you look at this pattern here, one could argue that this is a head and shoulders. So the one shoulder here, the head here, and then another shoulder here. And of course, what does that lead to? It leads to a breakdown in the market. So if you look at this, some analysts will say, oh, you know, this is kind of like a W pattern, in which point we should break out. But that's not what I look for when I look for the King's Crown, and I'm going to kind of show you here so you kind of just see for yourself. And what this is overall, okay, when you see this type of pattern forming, is again market exhaustion. That's all this is. It's just the market is exhausted. The sellers realize that we're not gonna move higher, right? And it leads to this massive breakdown. Okay, so, and I call it the King's Crown because of all these spikes. You know, if you draw this up, it just, you know, the king's head is sitting right here, and he's wearing his crown, right? And you can see this pattern play out. And when you see the pattern play out, it's kind of just an overall indicator to the fact that the market is exhausted. The king is wearing his crown, and he's now he's now saying to the crowd, there's, you know, we need to sell all of our, you know, our barley, and we need to sell all our wheat and all our fruit, and we need to trade so that, you know, we can have some cash, and when we get more of that cash, you know, we can stock up, you know, once we sell off. So again, if you look over here, this is not a King's Crown. This is kind of like a sideways pattern. There's a little bit of a breakdown. Again, another King's Crown. This is not a very definitive King's Crown. It's more of a double top. Breakdown. We move up. W pattern. We move up. Again, a King's Crown to this massive breakdown. Okay? So whenever I see this pattern forming, I get very, very worried. There's a good reason for it. So let's move over to here, and I'm going to show you a much bigger forecast of why this is important to understand. Now, one could argue, you know, this is kind of a King's Crown. It's not really. It's not really. And I'm going to show you what a real scenario looks like when it does play out. Here's a little bit of a W pattern with a fake out to the downside, another W pattern. Now this was a massive breakout. And if you guys notice where we are right now, okay, there is this, it almost looks like a giant, I'm just see if I can draw it up here. It almost looks like a gigantic king's crown. There would be this spike like this, and then down, consolidation, and then a breakdown. This is what worries me. And I'm very, very rarely wrong about this. I see this pattern, you know, like when you guys look at the charts as long as I do, it's just like reading a story. The markets tell you a story, and there's very few indicators that you need in order for the storybook to be played out. It's really that simple. I'm not saying that this market won't break out. That's not what I'm saying. It couldn't easily break out. But do I see it from the overall patterns? No, I don't. You can see kind of a W pattern here with a break up. And one could argue that this would, of course, create some type of bigger W pattern with a break up. But for me, and this is the 42,000 mark. Let me see here. And that's why I always tell everybody, sell off half your positions. Because it doesn't matter if you want to sell your position here and re-enter the market should we hold this $42,000 level. But to me, it just looks like the market is even exhausted at this point. This right here looks like the point of exhaustion. And it could rally up just a little bit more here, right? To the because I'm calling about 42,000. So right about there. Unless Bitcoin does something like this. Okay, now you guys see the pattern. And I'll tell you right now, I always warn people when I see this forming that the market always ends up getting exhausted and breaking down. Why? Because the guys who bought here are looking to take profits here. That's all it is. It's not a magic. You guys are doing it with me. So let me just draw up this potential scenario. And I'm going to show you why this next potential scenario may play out, and I'm going to show you a much bigger picture of why this next scenario might play out as well. And don't get confused, because you can still buy your altcoins here and let the market move upwards and rally. If Bitcoin decides that it wants to do this, okay, if Bitcoin wants to do this, which would create more or less a rising wedge, and I'm going to show you the rising wedge. Okay, this rising wedge typically will lead into a break upwards. So you got to be very careful of that. We are in a very sensitive time right now with Bitcoin. I'm going to tell you that right now. And so I just want you guys to make sure. I'm making this call right here. This to me, and you guys have watched my past videos, this to me looks like this will more or less play out. This is what I see happening. There will be a stop point at 42.4, and unless there's a breakout above here, only then will I become bullish. For now, I'm seeing a top and then a breakdown. That's what I feel will play out, and that's why I'm saying in the overall market. Okay, and you know, like this is kind of a rounded bottom recovery, but I'm going to show you why this scenario may play out up here. Okay, and you got to wait for the possibility that this may happen as well. This will break up and we will move most likely up to about 48,000. I always get caught with that line. Somewhere around there. Okay, and it will have a vertical spike up. If it breaks this and settles up here, there's a little bit of settlement here and then a move up. Okay, so what I'm calling for in the next little while here is a move up, fake out, consolidation, down, King's Crown. That's to me the most likely of scenarios just based on the overall market. And I'm going to show you why the other scenario may play out. Just give me a sec here. Okay. Now, if this little scenario creates support here, this too, and this is also what worries me about the breakdown in the market or this sensitive time frame that we're sitting in right now. This too looks like a gigantic inverted King's Crown. That's all it is. It's just an upside down. If you flip this whole thing upside down, it looks like a gigantic King's Crown. But these market manipulators are not, they're not stupid. They're not stupid, and they want to play with you here. This is again market exhaustion. Again, a potential inverted King's Crown in which the market will move up. Even if you guys buy your coins now and you settle here and Bitcoin actually wants to break up, I'm still going to be very, very concerned about this level here. But I do not see that coming, you guys. I do not see that Bitcoin is just suddenly going to rally to 58,000. I do not see that happening. Don't be confused about this just because I'm showing you this pattern. These market manipulators are absolutely masters at what they do. Masters at it. And so I'm just going to take a few things away here. But to me, the pattern is always funny when it plays out. But I'm going to know here very quickly. I'm going to look at the 1 hour here. Okay. Now, if I look at this scenario playing out, it'll do something similar to this. See this? And it'll just drag the market right down because too much exhaustion here. Big V-shaped recovery, market moves up. Okay, you sell a percentage. Look at this, breakdown, 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 exhaustion, a nice huge big break up, market exhaustion, and a breakdown. So I'm not saying either of these scenarios can play out, but you can still buy your coins here and ride the market upward. You don't need to sell your coins here, guys. You don't need to panic. If you want, because I'm calling a market drop, you can sell off 50% of your positions. You don't need to sell out, because then you're going to be angry at me that this market suddenly broke out again. Okay, but for what I see happening here, is this is again a nice big gigantic kind of sideways moving King's Crown to move down. Now these dates here, if you look at this date of August 10th, okay, this is an important time factor. There will be this kind of bottoming event. I'm also going to be very concerned in and around these levels, because I'm looking now for support at 39,000 for it to break up. That can also happen, you guys. This can come down. You guys can buy here, and buy here. Just ladder in your positions. That's all I tell people. And you guys, don't be confused about this breakdown. This breakdown can last a long time. You wouldn't believe it. This breakdown in the market, believe it or not, can take us even down further. And I know that this shocks some people, you know, when they hear this, but let's say we get to a bottom here. There can also be this sideways action and another breakdown. But much farther out, and I'm gonna show you guys this, and I've been showing this for months on end. This market can be dragged out all the way to October. This scenario, this entire scenario. But overall, the market will move up. You don't need to worry about whether or not it's dragged out. I will be able to tell you, okay guys, here, guess what? We're moving up. And then we're gonna move in an upwards fashion. Okay? So don't be stressed out about, you know, this bottom. I was telling guys to go ahead, ladder in your positions, ladder in your positions, ladder in your positions. Now you guys are up 30%. Don't wait for the market to break up. Sell off. Because what I see is a potential breakdown in the market. And I'm going to tell you when the market will start to move upwards again. Because the crown can form, the big King's Crown, the inverted King's Crown can form at a much later date. And I'm going to show it to you. You see this? Touch point, touch point, touch point, touch point. Look at this. It already kind of developed the crown. Technically, this market should move up now. That's the technical thing. That's the technical way to look at this analysis, is that it created this huge W pattern. And from this W pattern, it should break up. But I know these guys. I can see their and that's why you guys are invested in me, because I can see their shit ahead of time. What they like doing. And I'm calling for a breakdown where the King's Crown forms at a much later date. Hold on here. Okay? So it is a big touch point here, big touch point here, big touch point here, and there will be another big touch point here. Then, only then will the market have a big rally up at a later date. Okay? So don't be frustrated. This is, again guys, this is the bull. This is not the bull scenario. You see this W pattern? It's like a gigantic also W pattern. Okay, and I don't want you guys to be confused about these patterns and what I'm showing you. You don't have to worry about that. I'm saying right now, sell off 50%. If the market wants to trade up, you buy back in. Don't worry, it's gonna go up. It will play out. It'll just play out earlier than this move. It'll play out earlier than this move. Okay, so I say exit, wait for a bottom. We will see the bottom together. Don't worry, I'm gonna say, guys, buy, guys, buy, guys, buy. We need to buy. We need to buy. And then the pattern will play out. The market will start to move up. And then when we get to this point, September, October, we're gonna be very, very careful about what's gonna happen here. Very careful. I hope that helps you guys a little. Like I said, there's a lot of questions around, is this the top? Is this the bottom? We're not in a bull run. It don't matter. This is not, you're not gonna see 1000% gains. I know, like, don't get me wrong, if you bought down here and you have 100,000 to play with, yeah, that's 30,000 you made. Boom. Right there. Just boom in one hour. I think by the time I saw the bottom to up here, it was all of 3 days, right? So 30,000 in 3 days, that's pretty good, right? You sell off, you take profit. Don't be afraid to take profit. You can always re-enter the market if I see it trading upwards. And I'll wait for the pattern to finalize up here. And then I'm going to warn you about this big drop that I see coming. It's ugly. They're gonna play with you guys here. That's all they're doing. These are complete 100% manipulation moves. Because if we were in a bull run, and I'm gonna tell you guys about this bull run that we were gonna experience. Okay, I'm gonna give you some insight to it. You are literally going to see Bitcoin jumping $1,000 to $2,000 every day for 500 consecutive days. And there will be pullbacks, but the pullbacks will be so violently sharp, you won't even feel the pullback. That's how a true bull run operates. You won't even feel that it pulled back. You're gonna wake up the next day, holy crap, Bitcoin went from 120 to 90. And it'll do that in like a matter of days and then violently spike back up. That, my friends, is the bull run we are waiting for. You have to be very patient for that. And I'm not even saying this scenario is going to play out to 100%, but I'll tell you right now, the next leg up is going to be extremely violent, like beyond your imagination. You're not going to understand how is it that it's climbed. Something in the market is going to tear the markets apart to the point where Bitcoin is going to reach astronomical levels. You will see that play out. So anyways, guys, I hope this helps. Don't worry about the crocodile market. You know, I understand that the guys, you know, they bought everything down here, you know, and they're so happy that this is an extremely tiny move. You wouldn't think it is, because, you know, like everybody, oh my God, Bitcoin is $3,800, bang, you know. They think that this, out of all that big time frame, you know, because we're talking now March, what is it here? March 4th, March 9th was the bottom of that COVID, right? And we saw this gigantic rally. It's not a gigantic rally. This is a, this is nothing. You would, and I can't really, you know, everybody says, oh, it went 3,000 to 64,000. It's not the gain that everybody should be getting excited about. It's the next one. It's the next one that's coming. This second leg here doesn't mean anything. When this third leg, because remember, let's just say that this is 1, 2, and 3 will form higher than 1. Okay, if we look at a yearly chart, right? If you take my examples for the weekly charts, the monthly chart, the 512, or the daily charts, we can see the patterns. 1, 2. I don't think that the third leg, and this is what worries me, I don't think the third leg will start down here. So This is why I'm worried about this move, so you guys are not confused. I don't think that 3 is going to form here. I think it's going to form down here. Let me just take a look at this level, and this is a very important level. This is a support level that I'm going to draw you guys. This is a very, very strong support level. Very strong. Because of this big rally. Okay, so this big rally, well, you guys may call it a big rally, I don't. This support level right here is where I believe, and this red line is a very big indicator of this cup and handle. This is not a handle, this is a manipulation. I'm going to take this away. So this is 2. Now what I'm looking for, believe it or not, this is the top of this bull run. Everybody thinks this is the top. This is not the top. And I don't want to get you guys confused about why you think that it is, or why is it. What do you mean, Chris, this isn't the top? There's no way for me to just explain it in one sentence, so just don't look for it. Okay, this also, and I'm gonna change the color of this line, will be, and if I bring it out further, because I don't, there we go, something like this. Okay, so if we bump this over, this will kind of be more along the lines of that, and this will end up just a little bit further out. This A, B, C, D correction, this is not, don't pay attention to this. I was just throwing these. This is not a typical Elliott wave. So all you have to understand is that this line at some point will become very, very significant. And this is where I do not see the bounce happening here for the third leg. I see it way down here. But 3 will form higher than 1. And my God, when that happens, you guys are going to be, so let's just look at it from a bigger perspective. I'm telling you guys right now, you guys will not believe this. I get that you won't believe it. This will take Bitcoin to an incredible 1.2 million per Bitcoin. And I know you won't believe that, but this is what the data shows me, and I don't want to tell you the algorithmic pattern to why that is, but that's basically, if you look at that cycle play out, yeah, there is a way to measure these bounces, and also the other markets have to correlate with this, but this is what I see play out, and I'm very rarely wrong. I know that sounds conceited, but I'm very rarely wrong. So you got 1, 2, and 3. We're now looking at a gigantic forecast here, okay? Okay, and it will not look like this. It's not just gonna shoot up. There will be these incredible, huge, gigantic, and it's gonna be a much wider scale. Okay, it's not gonna look like this. It'll be the drop. 3 will form, and then it'll do a violent spike for sure. Something like this. There will be a V-shaped recovery, and then bang, 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 bang. It's gonna do these incredible moves, and you will see that during the bull market, the true bull market. It will do these incredible things. And don't ask me when this is gonna happen, you guys. Okay, I'm telling you, this breakdown could last for at least a good 6 months. this breakdown. People will be so incredibly discouraged when this move happens. They will be so pissed off. Because technically, what would happen is, if I'm right about this next breakdown, what would happen is 3 would form here, 4 would have to form higher. So that's why I don't see, this is, and you guys are going to get a lot of insight to why is it that I see these things on a much bigger scale. I do not see 4 forming higher than 2. And that's not good. If form does not form higher than 2, technically 5 should be the bottom then. So it doesn't matter if this is 1, because the cycle is too long. This is too much of a long of a cycle. So 1, technically 2 would be the bottom at 24,000. Okay. Sorry, 3. You got 2. 3 would be at 24,000. 4 would be lower than number 2, which would lead to this breakdown. So it doesn't matter if you call this 1, 2, 3, 4 lower, 5 lower than 3, okay, before the move up. Okay, because this would signify a complete downtrend, because then 5, depending on where 5 lands, but I do not see that happening. 5 is not going to land lower. It's not going to land lower than 6. 6 is going to move us up. It's too big of a cycle. But I do not even see this scenario, because the time difference between number 2 and 3 do not make sense. So I believe what's going to be happening here is this is going to be 3 and 4. So this is the third leg up. 4 is going to reach. And boy, when I tell you, when 4 hits, there's going to be a massive drop in Bitcoin. You will see that. This, I believe, will happen over 3 years. And this 3-year cycle that will polish itself out, it's gonna look much bigger, you guys. It's gonna be way down here, up here, like this kind of thing. When this plays out at 4, I'm gonna tell you, they're gonna invent something here that is gonna take out Bitcoin. That is my prediction. Because if it may not, but what'll happen is you're gonna get 5 form here, and then we are going to move up to 6, something like that, which could take Bitcoin to an incredible 7.2 million per Bitcoin. I know that sounds outrageous to you guys, but believe me, that can happen. And don't, please guys, do not take this with a grain of salt, okay? Because most people will not understand these bigger moves. Okay, and they think, oh my God, this is, how can the hundreds of trillions go into Bitcoin? Guys, you guys have no idea. If you don't know already, but I've been researching this stuff for such a long time. They can easily bring Bitcoin to $7 million per Bitcoin. Easily. I'm telling you, they can do it easily. So do not be confused about that. So this is the move where you're going to make some really nice money. Don't worry about 4, 5, and 6, okay? This is the move that I'm looking for. I hope this helps you guys. I should not, technically I should not be sharing this data, because I don't like these videos going out to people, okay? This is highly correlated data that I work with, and a lot of analysts will not understand these moves. Some will, but the majority of analysts do not see this kind of shit play out. I see it clearly. So just wait for a pullback here, okay? I believe that if we do form a 3 in the time cycle, it'll land down here. And this is why I'm going to tell you guys need to be extremely, extremely careful about it topping out here. And I'm going to tell you, you guys need to sell off your coins, okay? Because there's going to be a drop in the market. I see this coming. Okay, guys, thanks. Market update. We'll go.